Spring practice will continue today. Recruiting, some good news, and then there's basketball.
You are Locked On Bama, your daily podcast on the Alabama Crimson Tide. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hey, everybody. Welcome back into Locked On Bama. Luke Robinson, that's me. Jimmy Stein, that's him. This episode is brought to you by Gametime, and thank you for making this your first listen every single day. By the way, we're only about 250 plus or minus away from 10,000 subscribers on YouTube. So if you would be so kind as to click that button, it is a milestone. I don't think it really means anything for us necessarily big picture, but I think it's just cool. So if you would please do that, I would dance at all of your respective weddings. However many weddings you will have. But Jimmy.
I thought we're trying to get them to do this.
Everybody wants to see Luke do the Robo Boogie, I can tell you. But all right, Jimmy. So spring practice continues today. Didn't have practice yesterday. Anything from Monday you want to go back over, and anything you're super excited about today, because health permitting, you will be at practice today because it's going to be wide open, which is something that is not regular.
Well, wide open, meaning open to media, so media.
That's pretty open compared to what it was.
It's way open compared to what it was. There's been no media coverage of Alabama normal practice for 3 years. So today is historic in that sense. I think the fans out there will really appreciate it. I know at BOL, we are going above and beyond. BOL, basically celebrating this, we will have 3 or 4 reporters there, including myself, 3 or 4, and a videographer and a photographer. So BOL showing up with an army, and I would imagine we're not the only ones. So it's going to be quite the media contingent that's there. But again, we can only observe for 20 to 30 minutes near the start of practice. So that's what's going to happen. And then I think fans will really enjoy the reporting. Obviously, reporting's, there's no rules or restrictions so much, but we know that this is the first time. So, I know speaking for myself and our crew at BOL, we don't want to rock the boat. We're going to be careful about what we say. Because we don't want to, we would like access to continue. And I'm sure the fans would like access to continue. So it's still going to be very informational, we think. And I know I'm curious to see a few things myself. I know for myself, what I'm most curious about is the front 7. Who's playing what spots, in the front 7. Who's at Bandit, who's at Wolf, who's an inside linebacker, who are the guys up front. So in other words, really, okay, who are the guys Coach Roach is coaching? Who is Christian Robinson, the outside linebacker coach, coaching? Who is Kane Womack, the inside linebacker coach, coaching? That's what I'm super curious about. And then, of course, seeing individual players perform. I've never seen in person, certainly Austin Mack. I'm curious as just watching him throw a football. And maybe some wide receivers, the new guys, Jeremy Bernard. I'm curious to see him physically, and Keon Saab, who we still haven't figured out whether we're saying that right, but Keon Saab at safety. Oh, wait, you're muted. You're muted. Wow, which is fitting. It's a big day.
Look, it's we're all getting used to this new regime.
It's media's first day covering practice, so of course.
Well, what I was going to say was Keon Saab, who ironically had, or Saab, I think it's Saab. You called him
You're
Saab.
probably right.
Ironically has a Mercedes. That was going to be my joke. And I muted myself and ruined it.
Yeah, those car people really messed up a sweet NIL deal there.
But you're right. The access. I mean, before Alabama essentially had a chastity belt on in terms of media access. Nobody was getting, and now it's now we're at least listening to your story. We're willing to go on a date or two. So I think it's great. And I think it's great that you guys get to go. I hope that are you able to, do you know if you guys will be able to take pictures? And
Yeah. We're bringing a photographer and a videographer.
Okay.
But we know those will be restricted as well. In terms of, some things you can show and some things you can't, which is no different than like a sideline reporter, at games. Believe it or not, a lot of people don't realize there's some things restricted that the sideline reporter can't report on or talk to you about, nor bring you a picture of, we're live from inside the medical tent, or we're standing next to the coach as he's cussing out his players. They're a little restricted on. So it's sort of the same thing. I mean, you're just careful about what you show. It's about granting the fans access too. The fans can't be there, but what we want to do is as if you were there too. And we'd hope the fans would know that, hey, if I go to Alabama's practice, I can't tell Tennessee and LSU and Auburn what I saw. It's the same thing.
Yeah. And I mean, it would be kind of funny. So, Ty Simpson, the coach just called you blankety blank, blanking blank. How's that make you feel? We don't need to know all that,
Exactly. We're also going to have, people may not know this. And this is still up in the air in terms of, I'm not sure how this is going to work, but we are going to have access to defense guys today, some players and coaches after practice. So there should be some good sound bites and good interviews up. Encourage, of course, people to check it all out, especially BOL.
I love that. And again, it's going to be interesting. I mean, part of me enjoyed not knowing exactly how the sausage was made under Nick Saban. I enjoyed the rumors, the secondhand, third-hand stories. That those are the things that lead to people. They're legends. They lead to people being legends, and they are literally legends in the sense that it's sort of like talking to a friend who's seen a Yeti or a Sasquatch, which, by the way, Jimmy wholeheartedly believes in.
Yeah, I would love to talk to somebody who's seen one. Haven't been able to. Haven't talked to someone who has. I don't think. Let me think. Maybe I have, but no.
Jimmy does. This is not me joking. Jimmy.
Yeah, I'm a big fan.
One of the first, a big fan of Sasquatch.
I'm a big fan. That's what it is. I mean, I'm a big fan.
Welcome to Locked On Mythical Creatures. Anyway, oh gosh. Oh yeah. What I was saying was I enjoyed because when people embellish or enhance a story, I'm down with that. I mean, that's what makes that's storytelling's fun that way. When we know everything, I enjoy it a little less. I like the unknown and Jimmy, I go back to Jaws is my favorite all-time movie of all time.
Really? That's number one.
Jaws is fantastic.
I love it.
But number one, I know it doesn't translate well now. At the time, though, it affected the way we look at the ocean and has continued to affect the way we look at the ocean, period.
Yeah, I think that's true.
But you know what? The best part about Jaws to me wasn't when the shark comes up on the boat and he's trying to get
Quint,
Roy Schneider and Quint and everybody else. That's not the best part. The best parts are when you don't see the shark and you have to picture the shark in your own mind, because then it's a scarier shark, because it's whatever scares the hell out of you. It's not, okay, when you see, it's like these monster movies, when you see the monster, you're like, oh, that's what the monster looks like. Then you can sort of start pinpointing the weaknesses or whatever. But when the monster is an unknown, you have to picture what scares you. So going back to the Nick Saban stuff, I enjoyed hearing practice talk because I was like, man, Nick Saban's just the best. He's the best at everything, and he's always the best, and there's nothing that he's not the best in. But then if I have total access all the time, I'd be like, okay, well, this isn't so great. That's not as hard as I thought it was. That practice isn't as bad as I thought. Or, this player isn't as good as I thought. I like the embellishments. That being said, I'm also excited about having you guys having all this access, because we will get to see a little bit more. And I'm not saying they're going to pull back the entire curtain on practices now, but I am saying it will be a little different. Jimmy, I need to tell everybody about Game Time now. Notice how slick I was in cutting you off before you went on a rant, because we're going to run over. I knew that was going to happen.
I'm not going to rant. I was just intrigued by the analogy of Nick Saban is the shark in Jaws.
Well, and he's much scarier when you don't see him. I wish he had come out with like a bag on his head. It would have been even scarier. But game time. You know, I love game time. I've used it a gazillion times. Hey, I had somebody reach out to me recently. I'm going to try and pull it up in a minute via either text or Twitter and tell me, hey, I got tickets to the game. I bought them on Game Time. It was super easy. Thank you. And I was like, that's awesome. And so people are using Game Time. They love Game Time. You will love Game Time. I've used it a bunch. You can see the view from your seat before you buy, so you know exactly what to expect when you arrive. All-in prices show your total up front, so you know you're getting a great deal before you check out. Buy tickets in seconds with 2 taps, like tap, tap, and you got your tickets. Game Time has deals on tickets right up to the start of the event or even an hour after it starts, and you know you can get them on the cheap then. The place to find last-minute seats is Game Time. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDON, that's all one word, for $20 off your first purchase. Terms do apply. Again, create an account and redeem code LOCKEDON, LOCKEDON, all one word, for $20 off. Download Game Time today. Last-minute tickets, lowest prices, guaranteed. So recruiting talk, Jimmy. Big week coming out. I think Caleb Cunningham from Mississippi, maybe the top wide receiver in this class, is coming to Alabama today. Correct?
That is correct. Yeah, it will be there today. There's about 8 or 9 kids we've been able to confirm are coming, but Caleb Cunningham would be the headliner. 5-star, Choctaw County, Mississippi. Big time player. I don't know if Julio is a good comp, but you know, I mean, but he's that level of prospect, and he likes Mississippi State from what we hear, which is interesting. You know, it used to say it was hard getting players out of Mississippi, and now we have NIL. I'm not sure that makes it any easier to get kids out of Mississippi. It might be even harder. And plus, Ole Miss recruits so well. But early on, Caleb Cunningham apparently is a bit of a Mississippi State guy. So we'll see when it comes to Mississippi players. I'm usually not super optimistic, but he does like Alabama a lot. And again, these are unofficial visits on their own dime. They want to see you practice. You know they're serious about you when they want on their own dime to come watch you practice. That's when you know it's fairly serious. So Alabama definitely in the running for Cunningham.
Yeah, I did want to throw this up there. It was Weston Laney who sent me a text or via Twitter or whatever he slid into my DMs, I guess. And he said he used the Game Time app for some tickets to the Mississippi game, Alabama-Mississippi game. That's what it was. And so I appreciate him using Game Time, and thank you. But going back to Caleb Cunningham, first of all, we got to quit. And I mean, I'm not saying this for you. I'm saying this for me, for everybody. People got to quit comparing receivers to Julio Jones. He's a freak of nature. Julio and Calvin Johnson, Randy Moss, those guys, they're in a class that's so crazy that we don't need to put anybody else in that class until they do something worthy of being in that class. So that's number one. Number two, JuJu Lewis is also coming tomorrow. JuJu Lewis is, an incredible quarterback out of Georgia, committed to USC. I mean, it looks like for all the world, he is trying everything he can to find a reason to not be committed to USC anymore. I hope Alabama can give it to him.
Yeah, I would agree. Even though JuJu's committed to USC, if we had to take bets right now, is JuJu going to USC or the field? I'm going to take the field. I think the realities of geography and other things might be weighing in here. And USC had a pretty miserable season last year. I think Georgia is a strong player for JuJu. I think the traditional Southern powers, including Alabama, significantly are in the picture for JuJu. But he likes Alabama. Look, JuJu has come to Tuscaloosa pretty frequently, and we've gone to see him pretty frequently too. So there's a lot to the Alabama JuJu relationship. His high school receiver, tight end, Caleb Odom, is on the team. They're tight. So I think Alabama's got a real shot there with JuJu. I just wouldn't necessarily say Alabama's a favorite or that it's likely that it's Alabama. I would just say that it's strongly possible, just like Caleb Cunningham. And by the way, Julio comp. What I really was trying to say, he's a 5-star receiver. This is a 5-star receiver. This isn't a, hey, he's pretty good. This is a truly elite player. That's what I meant by that.
Yeah. So I think if Alabama can make a move with these two cats, it would be absolutely phenomenal. These are the kind of recruits that Kalen DeBoer needs to land. He doesn't need to land all of them. Nick Saban didn't land all of them. But if you want to make a move, he's already done a good thing, with Ryan Williams, getting him back in the fold. Number one, Noah Carter, who I think is a lot of people are going to love eventually, and then getting Antonio Coleman to reflip. All huge, all fantastic feats by Kalen DeBoer so far. That's great. But you want to make a move, man, you get one of these cats in the fold. And boy, it'll really change the perception very, very quickly. Jimmy, those two guys, we got more guys coming in this weekend. We'll talk about them as the week goes on. I wanted to do one other thing. A friend of mine, one of my cohorts for the AHSA radio network who called games with me, called the Valley Fairfield game. And he posted on Facebook, his name is David Jones, a great guy. He posted on Facebook a picture. I talked to you the other day about those finals from the AHSA and how I said there was a dunk or a near dunk in the Valley game. It's probably the most impressive non-dunk make I've ever seen. And I'm going to put this picture up. This is Brandon. His name is Brandon Thomas from Valley, 6'6", about 190. Now, for perspective, I was probably 6'5", 180 in high school, and I was a pretty good basketball player in high school. There is no time in my career of playing basketball ever, for any reason, on video games, in my head, that I could do this. And I hope it comes up. Here it is. Now, you might not be able to see the picture great. That's the best I could get. The rim is obviously over to his right a little bit. Do you see his knee and where the kid's face is?
I see the kid's face fouling his knee.
Well, and actually, Brandon Thomas was charged with a charge here, and he should have been. It was a charge. But what you can't see in this picture is how far away he jumped. I mean, maybe 2 feet, maybe a foot and a half inside the free throw line. He misses the dunk. But how often have you ever seen somebody knee another human being in the face without that person bending down? I mean, this number 5 for Fairfield isn't like uncommonly short. Anyway, look, people may not find this interesting. That picture blows my mind because I remember calling that game, and I almost couldn't speak for a moment. It was unbelievable. But regardless, I just thought some people may be interested to see that particular photo. So, Jimmy, now I want to tell everybody about eBay Motors, if I can ever find it. Here we go. Passion, drive, and patience, what brings home the winning trophy, is also what keeps your ride or die alive. eBay Motors has everything you need to maintain your vehicle and level it up to peak performance, from superchargers, roof racks, exhaust kits, LED headlights, and much, 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 much more. Whether you're into speed, power, or style, eBay Motors has got you covered, bro. With over 122 million parts for your number one ride or die, you'll always find exactly what you're looking for. And with eBay Guaranteed Fit, your part is guaranteed to fit your ride every time, or your money back. Because with eBay Motors, you're burning rubber, you're not burning cash. With all the parts you need at the prices you want, it's easy to turn your car into the MVP and bring home that big old win. Keep your ride or die alive at ebaymotors.com. Eligible items only. Exclusions, they do apply. And eBay Guaranteed Fit only available to U.S. customers. All right, we got to talk about the basketball game from last night because I think we're contractually obligated to do so. Alabama gets blowed out again against a good opponent. I told y'all this was coming. Yes, I'm disappointed. No, I'm not worried. I'm worried in the sense that I'm worried a little bit about Rylan Griffin. We're going to find out more about him. He has a calf injury, according to Coach Oates, and that can be a little tricky. But let's also say that Rylan Griffin, I mean, he played pretty well against Ole Miss in the second half, but he didn't play great against Tennessee, and he didn't play great against Florida. I'm not saying I don't want Rylan Griffin on the team. I want him on my team. I'm just saying it's not like it's not the same as losing Reitzel when we lost Reitzel. Reitzel was playing really well when we lost him, and he only got 8 minutes last night. Look, I had a couple of friends text me last night that are, more of the fog variety, football only gunts. And they said things like, hey, I think that Nate Oates is going to end up leaving Alabama soon, or I hope Nate Oates ends up leaving Alabama soon. And I'm like, guys, Jimmy, you had a great post on Bama Online. I'll let you elaborate on it. But I'm like, look, this isn't football. This doesn't matter that much. Yes, it sucks. It sucks that we've played 4 tough road games, like true road games in the SEC, and we're blown out in all of them. That sucks. I hate it. But it's not going to affect anything come March. And now we just need to reevaluate what we're going to do. And my goal now is just to go as far as we can in the NCAA tournament. I'm not even really worried about the SEC tournament, to be frank with you. I do want to get a double bye for the rest purposes. Otherwise, I'm just not – I'm ready to get to the NCAA tournament. I hate feeling that way because you know how I feel, Jimmy. I want championships to matter. SEC championship should matter, and I wish we had won it. We're not going to. So let's move on.
Well, could still win an SEC tournament championship. It's possible. What I just want to get back to is winning a big game. Feels like we haven't won a big game since we beat Florida, which is now a quad 1 win, by the way, ironically, by Florida beating us last night. Florida is now a quad 1 win for us when we beat them in Tuscaloosa. This is a good team. 13-5 in the SEC, assuming they beat Arkansas, is historically good at Alabama. Went back today and looked it up. Less than 75% of Alabama basketball teams have ever finished as good or better than 13-5 in the league. To say it's among the top 25% performances in history at Alabama means it's a really good year. Only 9 teams have won more than 13 SEC games at Alabama. So this is a good team. Only four Alabama teams ever have been higher than a 4 seed in the NCAA tournament, and this team is likely to be a 4 seed as of today. So this team did a lot of good things. They've accomplished a lot of good things. They still can accomplish a lot of good things. And as usual, I think there's just the extent of the negativity is just it's not that, defensively, this isn't a good team. They're not. They haven't been good since November. They're still not good. They're not made up of a bunch of plus defenders like some of Nate's recent teams. I think they're 101st in Ken Pom defensive efficiency, which is bad. That's bad. It's not great. It's bad. But understand there's over 300 teams. Just like in football, there's over 100 teams. Alabama being 100th in defense in basketball is similar to being roughly 33rd total defense in football, which is bad for Alabama. But in the grand scheme of things, really isn't terrible. It's just what we're used to. And 2 of Nate's recent teams were elite defensively, and that's what makes watching this team sort of harder to watch, frankly. But the offense has been unbelievable, still is, and I still think this team can do some good things. Let's see what happens.
I'm with you. Again, I don't like the way we performed last night. I don't like the fact that we there's a toughness that's lacking right now. We seem like we were getting so much tougher. Especially when you go back and you think about the Mississippi State game. Ain't nobody tougher than Mississippi State in this league. Maybe Tennessee, but we played them tooth and nail, and it seems like we've regressed a little bit. I also think maybe we're a little tired. Again, I'm not trying to throw excuses out there. It maybe we are tired. Maybe that means we need to change the way we condition. I don't know. But I do feel like it's also unfortunate the way our schedule fell. This is not excuses. It's the way it is in the SEC.
Honestly, I think it is the schedule. I think it's the schedule more than anything else. And by that, I just mean the timing of these games. I said on the radio with Randy Kennedy about 3 weeks ago, I said, when Alabama limps down the stretch, they're going to blame it on Alabama. But really, it's playing these road games late. That's the explanation.
And so, look, I want everybody to just chill. I understand there's some that are truly upset and they really can't stand the fact that we don't play defense, but we ain't going to play defense this year. It's not going to happen.
Right.
And, let's also remember, as you said, let's take a step back and understand we have overachieved this year relative to expectations, and there's still a chance to overachieve even more. Let's beat Arkansas, which we should, and then let's do the best we can in the SEC tournament, and then let's make a run in March. We got guard play is what drives March, and we've got good guard play. They've just got to. I mean, Aaron Estrada is still playing very well. Mark Sears had 33 last night.
I thought Sears played well offensively.
Offensively, I mean,
Estrada's good offensively. Neither one of them are great defensive player. I think it's just a good example of what I talk about when I say that they're just not plus defenders. I mean, they're not good defensive players, and they never will be. They never will be. They're just not blessed in that way. Defense is not. I think fans get too tied into defense as effort. Well, Herb Jones is like the most elite defensive player we've ever had at Alabama, and he's one of the most elite defenders in the NBA. It's not because he's trying harder than everyone else. He's just blessed with traits that it takes to be an elite defender, and those traits are missing from too many of the guys on this roster. We need to address it in recruiting and evaluations and getting a little older. For instance, I think Jaron Stevenson might be a good defender one day, but he's in the 12th grade.
Yeah, we need he gave us not much last night. But again, he looked like a dude who should be playing in high school basketball last night. That's what he looked like. And I saw somebody post something kind of snarky. I think it was on an Auburn board. Alabama and Ole Miss got the same record. They do. If Alabama played Ole Miss's schedule, Alabama would have probably 4 fewer, maybe 5 fewer losses. I mean, there's no doubt in my mind.
Auburn hadn't beaten a ranked team on the road either.
So, I mean, and again,
Alabama beat a ranked team on the road, neither is Auburn.
Yeah, I mean, again, everybody just needs to chill. Let's see how the brackets line up. Everybody's already telling me we're out in the first round. Well, we don't even know who we're playing yet. Let's take a minute.
People when they get mad, they want that to happen. They can't wait to be mad. I mean, let's just see what happens.
More true. There are some Alabama football fans who stay mad at Alabama basketball, and I don't understand.
Well, that's an easy response, really. It's because in football, we've been conditioned over the years that a loss is a disaster. A loss isn't a loss. A loss is the Titanic meets the Hindenburg, and it all goes down to the bottom of the ocean and explodes into tiny pieces. That's what happens when you lose a football game. And people use that same mentality when it comes to basketball, whereas losing 10 times is what good teams do.
Yeah.
They only lose 10, 12, 13 times. Those are really good teams.
And we got
so that's 13 disasters for the football people,
How quickly we forget, Jimmy. All right, that's going to do it for today's podcast. We'll be back tomorrow with more. Until then, roll tide, everybody.
Roll tide.